Can you tell me what the situation is like inside the Willowdale Welcome Centre?
Normal.
It's normal? I heard there's 74 residents that have the COVID-19. That's normal? David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. Well, folks, I have returned to the Willowdale Welcome Centre. I was here last week, and the reason for my visit was a disturbing report that 11 of the refugees here and 12 staff members had tested positive for the Wuhan virus. Well, I wanted to check out the situation and, well, par for the course, the people running the facility, a taxpayer-funded facility, I might add, well, they called the cops. Check it out. Are you one of the refugees or workers here?
Thank you. Please not film me. You need to leave property. Toronto police are on their way. Thank you.
Oh, why? Oh, is it to hand out tickets for the numerous violations here? If you go in there, sir, I think you'll find numerous violations of the COVID-19 protocol.
If you have concerns about rules and regulation, the health standards, that's something you could bring up to Health Canada, okay? And then they'll do the proper investigations. As far as filming goes, being on their property, you can't film on their property if they've asked you to leave. If like other news programs, they go across the street or whatnot, but to interfere with employees here or residents that live here, it is a shelter, you're violating that, okay?
Now, it was very interesting when I spoke to law enforcement, the police officer I encountered, I told them about the numerous COVID-19 safety precaution violations, a lack of personal social distancing. There were several people I observed inside the center who were less than 2 meters apart. And there was certainly a lot of people not wearing the proper personal protective equipment, such as gloves, mask, goggles, etc. And I didn't see much evidence of partitions, which the CEO of the center said was going to be installed. Now, here's the thing, folks. When I was here a week ago, as I said, 11 refugees, 12 staff had tested positive for COVID-19. Now the number has ballooned. It is now 74 refugees have tested positive for the Wuhan virus. They haven't released the number of staff, so according to my math, that makes at least 86 people at this center have tested positive for this virus. 3 have already been hospitalized. So I sent emails to Health Canada and to Toronto Public Health, and days later, there hasn't even been the courtesy of a response. As well, I sent an email to John Tory's office because, you see, Mayor Tory, he likes to take to Twitter and he likes to brag about how many tax-paying, law-abiding citizens are getting nailed with those $880 COVID-19 tickets. And yet here at a city-funded refugee shelter where there are numerous violations taking place, well, John Tory, he's not bragging anymore on Twitter. In fact, he won't return my calls either. And that's not really a surprise because just on Sunday night, Mayor Tory, if you can believe it, was involved in a parade down University Avenue to honor the emergency personnel working for the city in the hospitals on University. And yet the photos clearly indicate that there was a lack of social distancing occurring there. So once again, it seems that one rule for basically the rank and file and, well, another rule for the elites. City of Toronto spokesman Brad Ross emailed back to me, and he said that all safety protocols were followed at the center. Really? Does my footage from last week indicate that, with the lack of social distancing, the lack of personal protective equipment. And what about the center itself? After all, this is a former North York Hydro office building. It was never meant to be a hostel. This is the kind of open environment that the experts have warned is a breeding ground for the coronavirus. So why is the city even using such a property in the first place? Furthermore, Mr. Ross adds the following, quote, anyone arriving from out of country would have been held at the border, which has been closed for 3 weeks now, end quote. Well, folks, come on. As you all know from my videos going back to January, the border remains open. There's so many exemptions that people, including people from the epicenter of the Wuhan virus, China, are flying into Canada on a daily basis. And what's more, what do you make of this fellow who I interviewed last week? He said he had just arrived from Nigeria 2 weeks ago, and if that is the case, then why wasn't he in quarantine?
I'm barely 2 weeks here, so.
Okay, where are you from, sir?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay, then. All right. Now, I'd like to go a little closer, but I can't. They'll have me arrested for trespassing. That's what happens when you try to practice journalism and ask some insensitive questions in Canada these days. So I'm going to hang out here and see if I can speak to any residents or staff that come onto the public sidewalk and get a handle for what is going on behind those doors. Oh, hi, ma'am. Do you reside here at the Willowdale Welcome Centre? Hello? Can I ask you why you're not wearing the proper personal protection equipment? What is it like inside the center, sir? Is it true there's 74 residents that have the coronavirus? Hello, sir. Can you tell me what's happening in here? Can you tell me what the situation is like inside the Willowdale Welcome Centre?
Normal.
It's normal? I heard there's 74 residents that have the COVID-19. That's normal? Well, folks, as you can see, I was unsuccessful in getting residents to weigh in on their experiences here at the Willowdale Welcome Centre. I suspect they've been given a gag order not to speak to the media, so they've been avoiding me like the plague, no pun intended. But one person who is not impressed with the status quo here is the councillor for the area, John Fillion. In his latest newsletter, Mr. Fillion writes, quote, I have been urging Toronto Public Health and the city shelter system to enforce a lockdown of the site while there are residents there who are infected or have been in close contact with those who are, end quote. Well, that sounds perfectly logical to me, folks. I mean, the Willowdale Welcome Centre is quickly becoming one of Toronto's hottest hotspots for the Wuhan virus. And yet, I can tell you, there's a cavalier attitude here. There are still so many people without the proper personal protection equipment. There are people who are not being quarantined. There are people who are not observing social distancing. And yet, for some reason, the people here get an exemption from those $880 tickets while other Torontonians who are out for a jog or inline skating or sitting on a park bench, the state comes down on them with the force of a papal bull. I wonder why that is. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, has bylaw or law enforcement given you a ticket for some sort of Wuhan virus public safety infraction? Do you think it was unfair and unwarranted? Well, please visit our new website, fightthefines.com, fightthefines.com, and if we think that you have a case, we'll pick up your case. We will fight it for you in a court of law with a lawyer that we will crowdfund from our viewers. And folks, if you don't have a personal story but you'd like to contribute to our legal fees, please go to that website. That's fightthefines.com. And if you can, please make a donation.